So after racing at the weekend, I had a lot of questions around footwear. So I raced the Ladybower 50k, which is about 1,200, depending on what watch you used in elevation. Had a mixture of very muddy terrain, rocky terrain, lots of hard pack gravel, roady type terrain, because we did 10 miles around Ladybower Reservoir, and then up a long climb, which was quite boggy and heathery, and then technical, and then back onto some road. So yeah, really difficult to make a shoe choice. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't have any affiliation to any brand, so this is just my own trial and error. I actually wore the Adidas Terex Speed Ultras, and people were saying about the grip of these, and I wore them for the first time for the Mozart Marathon, and we had horrific conditions where there was mudslides and you were sliding down some of the descents because it was just like so muddy. And I had the original grip, which I think is about 2.5 mils, which is bonkers that a brand puts that on. And I still think if you're selling to the UK market brands, you need to do something different with your grip because it's so important. And I think that's something that brands definitely need to think about. But I was lucky, thank you to Tom Evans for giving me the suggestion, saying that I was quite new to trail running, so I didn't really understand what level of grip you needed. And probably for most trail races, a 5mm grip is actually needed on the bottom for your lugs, and that would suit, most terrains. Yes, maybe not the Peak District in the bleak of winter when it's ridiculous muddy and you might need those 9 mils. But for the majority of trail races going around Europe and the UK, then a 9mm lug is quite important. So thankfully, these are so muddy, but I'm just going to keep it real. Haven't cleaned them. I might get around to it, might not. But yeah, these are the soles that the Key Cobbler did for me. So I sent them off to the Key Cobbler. I'll link to them in the notes so you can see this. But they resoled my shoes with the Vibram grip. So that was really helpful to be able to get the right grip so that I was confident on those kind of slippy bits and rocky and wet terrain that grip would be really good. So I guess when looking at the shoe of choice, you have to make some compromises. So me and Lewis talk about this all the time. You're not probably going to find a shoe that's right for the whole of the race, especially as you go into longer distances, because 50k upwards, the terrain is likely to change throughout the whole of the race. So you might need cushioned on some sections. You may have wished you had a more technical kind of responsive lower to the ground shoe on all the technical stuff, but actually the benefits of having a more cushioned shoe outweigh the time you're going to spend on that technical section. So yeah, really hard to find the right shoe, but I really like these. However, I'm still looking for a shoe that if I did a technical race without much, flat trail or a nice trail as I call it, then I'd need if it was more rocky and technical, then I definitely need another shoe so I can be more responsive, lower to the ground, and more stable as well, because these shoes are amazing, but I'm not the most stable runner anyway. So on really rocky terrain, I become even more unstable, and it can be a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, good choice in shoe. I do know things like the Hoka brand or North Face have really good shoes, especially Hoka with a Vibram grip, but they just don't suit my feet at all. So I'm quite reluctant to saying this shoe is for you, because we all have different feet, we all have different biomechanics, different feels. And unfortunately, you kind of got to try it out first. So I do have a number of pairs of shoes that I spent a lot of money on that I don't wear as often because I prefer other types of shoes. So my mileage shoes tends to be the Adidas Agravic Flow 3s, and then I'll wear the Ultras for the longer distance and races. I don't train in these because these are carbon, so I tend to stay away from carbon unless I do one session before a race or maybe a long run before a race. But I tend to just train in a general mileage shoe on the trails. Just find it's much better for the body, keeps injuries at bay, and it's just, my personal preference. But from my point of view, I am looking for that technical shoe that I can wear on some of those rocky, more technical races or runs. And then I can imagine when we go into the winter and I'm trying to run in the Peak District, when it's been hammering it down with rain, I also need to look at increasing the lug length so I get more grip, because I'll be sliding down the mountains otherwise. So lots to think about from shoe choice. This does remind me, actually, I used to work, out of university I worked for Nike as an econ, which is a product technology specialist. And so yeah, really cool to be able to be talking about product again, because I used to actually do this for my job. But yeah, big shout out to the kind of brands to maybe think about the the soles of the shoes and the grip that you're giving us, trail runners, especially in the UK. And yeah, a little bit more grip would be super helpful. But I know, yeah, software footwear is continuing to be developed. But people like the Key Cobbler are great. Also, from a sustainability point of view, if you find that the soles of the shoes have worn down, I know, for example, when I was in the Alps, there's lots of rocky terrain, so actually my shoes got a bit battered on the bottom. Then instead of buying a new pair of shoes, you can just send them off to the Key Cobbler, get the outsole done, and that's you good to go again. So great from a sustainability point of view that you don't just have to chuck your footwear. If the sole's damaged, you can actually get that redone, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to leave you on that note, leave you on the footwear note, and yeah, hopefully you found that interesting. If you do have any questions or reflections or anything you want to share, pop them in the comment box. But yeah, footwear done.